Hey everybody, welcome back to another Power Rankings video on the channel. We are going to be doing my Power Rankings or ranking AFL teams best to worst in current form after round 16 of the 2022 AFL season. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. Let's get straight into the Power Rankings. Kicking off in 18th spot, it is quite simply a no-brainer, North Melbourne. I think it's been a bit of a debate this year between North Melbourne and West Coast, who's going to take that worst team in the competition spot. I've always thought North Melbourne, but yeah, after a few West Coast performances, it is clear-cut North Melbourne, just really struggling at the moment. Percentages down there of one of the worst in recent memory or history, around 49%. A side who's just gradually getting worse and worse, not hitting their expectations. The club reviewers come in, just losing by tremendous margins now, lost by over 100 points to Geelong Cats, and it's just going to keep on going downhill, and they probably even struggle in a VFL competition. So yeah, no-brainer, North and 18th. In 17th spot, of course, we do have the West Coast Eagles. Obviously, the clear-cut bottom two side, but they have been good this past month. I think if you're an Eagles fans, you have to be pretty happy with your team's performance. You're gradually improving. Obviously, a great win against the Essendon Bombers and a few really brave performances against the Tigers and also the Geelong Cats, going down by narrow margins throughout the game. I've always said it this year, they've of course had a lot of injuries, had a lot of problems with COVID and etc. and stuff like that, but they've finally started to really sort of hit their stride a bit. They've got Nick Nut back in, they've got Gaff and Shuey back in, getting up more match fitness, and you can start to see the improvement in that West Coast side. But of course, still a bottom two side, and they really need some young talent this year. So yeah, 17th, I have the Eagles in. In 16th spot, I do have the Adelaide Crows. It's pretty much neck and neck between Essendon and the Crows, but I just thought with the Crows, they just don't really look like a side that's going to really pick up many more results for the rest of the year. Simply how I look at them is they just don't have enough talent to really drive them for a full four-quarter performance. We've seen this a few games. St Kilda was a game they really could have won. They pushed Melbourne right to the end, but just their class of the Demons surge, made them run away with it. So yeah, it's an issue that I've been saying for this whole year. Don't really have enough talent to really drive them to many wins. But of course, they've been a side that has been very competitive. They play well in certain patches. But yeah, for me, 16th spot, they're just struggling to really pick up wins left, right and centre, really. So I do have the Crows at 16th. In 15th spot, and I do have the Essendon Bombers. I would just keep them at 16th spot, but they've played a really good last month of footy, previous month. Of course, knocking off St Kilda and the Swans, both brave and terrific wins, really playing out of their skin, and this is what the Bombers are really capable of. Of course, played finals last year. This year, it's just been a bit of a learning lesson for them, just getting adjusted with their playing list, and obviously a lot of youth running through there, like Durham and Hobbs and Harrison Jones and Archie Perkins, etc., with, of course, a mix of their veterans too. So this year, of course, it hasn't been the most fine and dandy, but if you're a Bombers supporter, your last month, you'd be chuffed with this. It's just been a harsh year for the Bombers, but knocking off those wins against the Swans and the Saints is something to really be proud of, and they've moved up one spot, and I've got them in 15th. In 14th spot, and I do have Hawthorn, a side that's lost their last 5 matches, and it's just a team that's starting to really go downhill this year, which is a shame to see. I think this year has been pretty positive for them. A team that was expected to finish bottom 4, but just their performances this year, you've got to be very happy with. A team that is capable of catching teams napping, and they just pick up losses that are very healthy, only by really small margins, with rarely any poor performances. But yeah, obviously a side that's just going to keep on going downhill, you'd think. Obviously need more young talent in that side. Obviously, of course, a very young side, and no-brainer. Hawthorn losses recently to Fremantle, Bulldogs, and the Giants today. Yeah, they've got them at 14th. In 13th position, and I do have the GWS Giants. A bit of really an unstable side this year, of course, with the mid-season departure of Leon Cameron, the new man, Mark McVeigh coming in. Of course, they're a side that's going to be pretty, unstable and pick up a few losses, but I just feel like the brand of footy they're playing is they've got nothing to lose. I feel like with the list they have, Mark McVeigh's just allowed them to play this really exciting attacking brand, the Orange Tsunami down the corridor use that they were so good at a number of years ago. But there's still a side not to write off for the rest of the year, I do feel. Losses to the Bulldogs, Collingwood, and also Hawthorn. They're a pretty high-scoring side with how they've been able to play under Mark McVeigh. But yeah, for me, I've got them at 13th. 12th position, and I do have the Western Bulldogs. It's hard to really put a team in 12th with these top 12 that are very capable of making finals. But for me, I've got the Bulldogs simply because they're just a team that have not met expectations at all. A very inconsistent side, sweet and sour, and they have a very difficult run coming up. I'm pretty sure their next 5 games is against sides in the top 8, which is, it doesn't get harder than that. I can see him dropping maybe at least 4 of them. A number of injuries starting to occur. I think Treloar's down. I mean, Tim English has been in and out of the side. Just a side that's been very lackluster in defence too. And I just don't know how they're going to go for the rest of the year. I think they're done for finals. And yeah, they've just got to knock off the rest of the year. I've got them at 12th. In 11th position, and I do have Port Adelaide, a team that maybe you could say you could put up a bit higher. I mean, past their round 6 when they picked up their first win, they've been something like 8-3 or something. They've been a side that's been in tremendous form. Not what their ladder position suggests, but just form-wise, they've been excellent. A defensively very strong side, and watching them play, they do sort of look like a finals quality side, but they just do not have much room for error. They can't afford to lose games, and their loss to Fremantle today could potentially mean season over because they do have a few hard fixtures coming up. I'm pretty sure they've got the Demons and also Geelong coming up soon. So yeah, Port Adelaide, it's been a bit of an unexpected and not an entertaining year, but it's a team that you definitely expect could rebound into finals next year. And I've got them in 11th. In 10th position now, and I do have the Gold Coast Suns. I think it's everybody's second favourite side in the competition, and it's tremendous to see how good they are playing finally. And the second half of the season, they might not be picking up results necessarily, but yeah, similar to Port Adelaide, they're playing great footy. And I mean, the last 2 games, they've only went down by under a kick, which is obviously not a great sign to see. It's, you know, feel like you say, oh, they got robbed, etc. But just how they're playing this year is very threatening. I think their midfield and contested game has gone up a notch with Touk Miller. Noah Anderson and Rao just keep on getting better and better, and their forward line's been excellent. It's just a well-balanced side, the Suns, and I'm really keen to see if they can have a strong start in 2023. But yeah, I think they will be missing finals. I've got them at 10th at the moment. In 9th spot, and I do have the St Kilda Saints, a team that maybe you could put a bit lower, but I think their win against Carlton really does solidify their spot around the 9th, or just the brink out of the top 8. Of course, by watching the St Kilda there against Carlton, that's their full strength side, and when you watch that, that's what they're capable of, knocking off a side like Carlton. Yeah, so I think it's a really odd one. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are thinking St Kilda, their season could be over, but seriously, when they have that full strength side, Paddy Ryder and Rowan Marshall, arguably the best ruck duo in the competition, they can really get going. And again, a lot of their low-key players like Sinclair and Brad Crouch and Seb Ross and Jack Billings as well, throwing Gresham too, Callum Wilkie, have been pretty mediocre players, but they've really stepped up this year and became St Kilda a side that's really in contention of the top 8. But yeah, power rankings wise, I've got them sitting in 9th. In 8th spot, and I do have probably the most inconsistent side this year, the Sydney Swans. It's just a team that you can't really get a grip of. You think, oh no, they're a top 4 quality side, or they're a chance for the flag with, you know, all these amazing youth plays that they do have, but then they drop games where they really should have won. I mean, poor losses to, disappointing losses to Bombers this weekend, and also Port Adelaide, and early in the year, you know, lost to like the Suns, and just games that they really could have won or should have won. That's really cost their season, and they've dropped down a bit in a very vulnerable position of dropping out of the 8. So they're in the balance a bit this year. Yeah, just a side that's really been on and off. They'll play great one week, next week not so great. So they're a side that has that upside. They have plenty to prove, but they just aren't really putting that points-wise and results-wise in 2022 with their, I guess, young side and inexperience, and it's going to be inconsistent. So yeah, Swans, I've got it 8th. In 7th position, and I do have the Richmond Tigers. I just think their high chemistry list and their experience and class is really, they're a side that's really peaking at the right time of the season. It's around this time of mark where you really want to start hitting a few wins in a row, or really bolstering your side and picking up results. And I think Richmond are doing that very well. And I think maybe they're a safe spot for the top 8. They've got a few games that they should win coming up. And yeah, just a team that's going to be going surging into the 8, I do believe. And are they a threat for the flag? Who knows? But yeah, a side that's looking defensively very well. And of course, on the transition, they're scary good too, which is finals quality. So I do have them in 7th. In 6th position, and I do have the Carlton Blues, side that's, again, top 4 contention. Sort of been a few games where they really could have won, and their inaccuracy really cost them the game there against St Kilda. Dropping a few games where they really could have played better and won against Collingwood and Richmond. But a side that have, when they're on, they are probably one of the most exciting and scary teams to watch in the competition. Forward half pressure is elite. Forward line is working so well this year. Their contested game is excellent. They really do play that final quality, finals brand of football. And, they should get 𝐬𝐻𝐪𝐸 back in. And they're just a side this year under the new coach of 𝐼𝐻𝐿 𝐼𝐻𝐿 who've just really changed their attitude to the game. Of course, 𝐼𝐻𝐿 has come in and just completely set the tone of this playing list. And look how well they're playing this year. Just look like a lot more disciplined of a side. And they're seeming to play a lot better for a full 4-quarter duration, which they were unable to do last year. So I do have Carlton at 6. 5th place, and I do have Collingwood. I've probably surged them quite a bit high up in these power rankings, but they truly deserve it. I mean, they've won the last 7 games they've played, and against top opponents: Fremantle, Carlton, Hawthorn, Melbourne, GWS, and the Suns. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to say how they're playing well this year. Just, again, finals quality brand. Pressure is terrific. Their transition is scary good. Just a side who's very attacking. And defensively, they're very well set up. I think their back 6 is extremely underrated. Darcy Moore's in all-Australian form. I think they're, their spare man of Jeremy Howe, and Murphy's been a very underrated player too. Nick Daicos, the absolute star, probably one hand on the Rising Star Award, and Josh Daicos in career best form. Just a side who've really risen themselves up from the dead compared to last year with their new coach. Just a very exciting brand of footy they're playing, and it's a side that could really surge and pick up a few wins in a row and can possibly make a threat for top 4 and finals. So yeah, I've got them at 5th. In 4th position, and I do have the Freo Dockers. I feel like this month, or the past month, they've probably gotten a bit more of a reality check. I mean, a close win against Hawthorn where they really could have lost. A huge loss to Carlton, and a bit of a danger game win against Port Adelaide. But those are results that they're just gonna cherish. Of course, I mean, that early season surge with banking those wins, they're gonna have that security, and they should be good for top 4, I do reckon. And of course, we know Fremantle, how good they have been this year. Just defensively set up excellent. Their back 6, their midfield is very accountable. Brayshaw and 𝐻𝐻𝐸 playing terrific footy, you name it. And the forward line is working very well. I think Lobb, of course, been in career best form. So a side that's just a well-oiled machine this year, and I think they'll keep on surging for the rest of the year, and I do have them at 4th. In 3rd place, and I do have the Brisbane Lions. Past month, probably similar to Freo, maybe they have gotten a bit of a reality check. A poor loss against the Demons, game where they really should have lost against the Giants if it were a better opponent. But just their high chemistry list and their class in their side has just simply made them able to pick up and push through. Pick up some great wins. Of course, they were under the pump a bit against the Saints and the Bulldogs, but they just powered through and won by pretty solid margins. So I am really interested to see how they do go in the latter stages of the season, and especially in finals. Can they finally make it to the last Saturday of September? In 2nd place, and I do have the Geelong Cats. I think similar to Richmond, just their experience list and the high chemistry list have really made them able to bolster at the right time of the season. Of course, there were a few doubts earlier, being pretty inconsistent, but of course they've just banked wins that are pretty expected. Dangerfield back in. I think they're old players like Selwood and of course Dangerfield, just mentioned before, and Guthrie, and even Tom Atkins, a very underrated player. Their midfield has just been rolling. Forward line, I mean, Jeremy Cameron's probably arguably the top 3, top 5 players in the competition at the moment. Defensively set up very well. So they're just a side that's probably going to keep their top 2 spot. And yeah, Geelong in 2nd. And in 1st place, I do have the Melbourne Demons. It was pretty interesting to see they're losing their 3 games in a row. You don't usually see that too much with a side like the Demons, but wow, their last 2 games, massive win against the Brisbane Lions, and just their class really stopped the surge against the Adelaide Crows. And you kind of feel like, okay, let's take a step back. This is now the Demons we're talking about. Just completely right in their midfield. 𝐼𝐻𝐸, Petrarca, Oliver, just their trio. It's just brilliant. It's solid all around the ground. Playing really good footy as well without Tom McDonald. Ben Brown's in some great form too. So yeah, a side that's probably, of course, going to keep their minor premiership spot. So yeah, there are my power rankings after round 16. So everybody, that is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you went on to enjoy today's video. and also feel free to comment down below and let me know what you think of my power rankings. So everybody, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later.